This is our first development policy forum where we'll be discussing the impact of exchange rate adjustment on the economy of South Sudan. With me to discuss this topic are two colleagues. To my left is Ms. Mary Jerfes-Yak, Deputy Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, and to my right is Mr. Kwelargwe, Aspirant Secretary of Finance, and my name is Lual Deng. I'm the Managing Director of the Ebony Center for Strategic Studies. So I will start with the Honorable Minister to walk us through of the topic, where we'll be trying to discuss first what is an exchange rate and how many rates available in the economy. We have about 4 rates, 3 officials and 1 determined by the market forces in the so-called black market or parallel market. The first is where the Minister of Finance sells the dollar it gets from the oil revenues to the central bank at a rate of 2.96 South Sudanese pounds per dollar. The central bank in turn sells to the commercial banks at a rate of 3.02 pounds per dollar, and the commercial banks in turn sell to the public at a rate of 3.163. Those are official rates. The parallel market rate as of this week is hovering between 17 to 20 pounds a dollar. Now, what we want to discuss is how can we unify all these rates so that they become one, and what will be the likely impact, both positive and negative, on the economy. So Mary, I start with you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lual Deng, for inviting me to this forum. In fact, our economy, as you know, our macroeconomic situation is really struggling. And this is because we are actually working with a deficit budget. That is, the revenue that we are getting is less than the expenditures that we have. For this reason, we want to take some policy measures that can help us close the gap, which is the deficit in the budget. The deficit has been caused by the less revenue that we are now getting from the oil, and this is because of the conflict, and also because of the prices of oil internationally that have dropped. This leaves us with very little funds to use, and so the deficit is closed by us through borrowing from our central bank, which, as you know, is not sustainable. This practice actually amounts to printing our local currency, which will in the long run weaken our local currency, and therefore it will trigger off inflation as we have it now, because the demand for goods is higher than the supply of goods in the market, and this is where we have the parallel exchange rate. The regime we have now is as Dr. Lual has explained, is a fixed rate, and this fixed rate was adopted when we got independence. It was supposed to change shortly thereafter, But because of the changes in the leadership of the central bank, this has not been done. And therefore, we are still stuck with the fixed exchange rate, which makes the government lose revenue, really, and not only the government, but the population as a whole. If they want hard currency, they have no choice but to go to the parallel market, which is very high. Not to talk of investors. Investors are scared. Therefore, we have thought of a policy measure to rescue this situation. First of all, the Ministry of Finance, together with the Central Bank of South Sudan, form a committee to review the economic situation, the monetary policy, and the fiscal, and they came up with a suggestion that we should adopt a regime called managed float. This regime is suitable to our economy, which is just starting. But to implement this kind of a regime, we need some mitigating factors, such as having a reserve, not a huge reserve. Actually, what has been suggested is an amount of $300 million minimum.
We will come later on to those. Let us first discuss the impact. So what if I got you right, that realignment will help the government to finance the huge deficit. So instead of borrowing, the government now will not be borrowing because it is selling its currency, which is dollar, at a reasonable rate and not at the fixed rate of 2.96. So in that way, the Honorable Minister is saying government would be able to finance the deficit. I turn to my colleague, Kulabi, what do you think about what the Minister said, and also what do you think are the likely positive effect and the negative effects on the economy of South Sudan as a result of a realignment?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say something before I get into impact and benefits and maybe some disadvantage. The first thing is why exchange rate in the first place. The reason for exchange rate is that South Sudan is not a closed economy. It interacts with region and the world in terms of economic activities. We need to import goods and services from our neighbors, the one we are not producing, and we are selling what we produce to them like oil. This is the only commodities now we are selling. So when the government get that in hard currency, because we sell it to foreigners, the government has to convert it into a local currency to be able to fulfill its responsibilities and obligations in the public. Dr. Lual has talked about 4 exchange rate, but actually there are 5 exchange rate. 2.9 from the government selling to the central bank. The central bank sell it to the commercial bank by 3.02, and then the central bank, the commercial bank sell it to business people or to public with 3.16, and then there is another rate, the LC rate, the credit line rate. That is the rate that is given to the traders to bring goods from outside. It is 3.39 with the Qatar Bank. And then there is a market rate that is flexible. It goes up and down, but it has never been less than 15 pounds per dollar. In this way, there are people who are benefiting in the middle who are not necessarily the people of South Sudan who deserve this dollar to get the value of dollar from the sale of dollars. And therefore, when we look into economy, we discover that the public is losing, the government is losing revenue they are supposed to get out of oil, and therefore, as a result, the government is borrowing money, putting on itself a responsibility that he or she is supposed to do with the resources they have, or at least to reduce it. Also, we have seen that the market, the goods in the market, have actually reflected the prices of the market rate of the dollars and more, because the trader will buy the dollar in the market rate and then will go and bring goods and then add on top of it the profit. So the economic, the crisis committee of the government plus the SPLM National Economic Task Force did analysis, and we came to conclusion that people of South Sudan, the public, there is a value of money that is not going to them, and therefore that must be given to them, because already they are buying goods in the market at the same price. And why are they not selling the goods? So there are benefits if we realign, and there are two ways of doing it. One is getting into the middle and pull the prices from where they are, pull the value from where they are, and then we come into equilibrium in the middle. And there is another way of getting into where it is now and keep it there. Don't allow it to move. So it depends on what resources are available to use one of these systems. Either you get it and keep it there, or you stand somewhere and start pulling it to come to that equilibrium so that you reduce the exchange rate from where it is now.
Okay, thank you. You seem to have agreed also with the Honorable Minister that the realignment will enable the government to finance the huge fiscal deficit. But then we need to be specific on the economy itself. Okay, we have done one part, and we have talked of the public will benefit. How does the public benefit? How do ordinary person benefit from the realignment?
The ordinary person in South Sudan will benefit because when we realign, the prices will not be moving as it is now. It will be somewhere, and then the public will be able to afford that goods. Also, the government will have more resources to be able to deliver services to people, like water, health services, and all this. When the government has got more resources, they will be able to finance Chapter 3. Because now we are mostly,
Chapter 3?
We are financing only now the salary and the services that are not services to people. They are services to institutions that are working. But Chapter 3 has got a development where you can do development. You can deliver social services to people by making infrastructures.
You're talking of Chapter 3 of the budget.
It's Chapter 3 of the budget of the government.
Okay, Chapter 3 is what? Development.
There is development.
What about Chapter 1?
The Chapter 1 are salaries.
Chapter 2?
Chapter 2 are services to these institutions.
And so you are saying the government will be able now, will have more resources in terms of pounds, and will be able to do developmental projects.
Yeah, we will be able to pay for services that are done within South Sudan that does not need hard currency.
What about, Honorable Minister, the impact on agriculture, for instance, the diversification of the economy? Will agriculture benefit from the realignment, agriculture sector?
Right. Yes, certainly. Actually, diversification will be one of the factors that will be positively realized when there is realignment. Let me say that with realignment, it will bring some sort of semblance of macroeconomic stability to the economy of the country. And with the stability, the banks will have confidence now to lend to business people who want to do some business. And therefore, there will be some kind of activity in the economy. The economy will be stimulated, and the private sector will start to work. And you know that the private sector is the engine of growth in the economy. And so that will be good for the growth in our economy. Diversification will come in here because sectors like agriculture, animal husbandry, and even exports can thrive after unification of the exchange rate. Investors also will come in because now they will have more confidence to do business, knowing that they will be able to earn a profit and be able to repatriate their profits, their money. In this current regime that we are in, investors have lost confidence, and they are not sure whether they are able to earn profit and to take their profit home, to repatriate it. So I would say that with the exchange rate unification, the macroeconomy of the country will be stable, and this will encourage a lot of things, including the creation of jobs.
But are you sure you will be able to restore the stability to the economy? How will you restrain the physical side of the policy? Because if you don't kind of coordinate the monetary policy with the fiscal policy, government may continue to spend more, and if you continue to spend more, then you cannot talk of macroeconomic stability in that environment. So is the government going to put ceiling on its expenditure?
Okay, let me say that it is true that the expenditures of the government is shouldering are quite high, and this is for a reason. First of all, we have the war going on in our country. Thanks God, we have now signed an agreement. With the peace agreement, at least there will be, although there will be an increase in expenditure, but for good reason. And also the peace agreement does say very clearly that there should be reforms, and reforms entails a lot of things. It means reforming some sectors which may be spending too much, looking into the payrolls, removing the ghost names, and a lot of things will have to be done by the government. That is, if we go by the agreement. And surely the government has signed the agreement, and I'm sure that we are ready to implement it as it is. So with the reforms, I am hopeful that our expenditures can be cut down, and it can be matched to the monetary side of it, and with it will come all these things that I have just enumerated.
Okay, thank you. What about in most cases where adjustment is made in other countries where you do the devaluation, normally the people who are on fixed income are negatively affected. Will it not be the same case here in South Sudan?
I think if it happens, it might be temporary. It cannot be a long term, because the government itself, when they get more resources, they will be able to compensate the purchasing power of the working force, and that will actually help in seeing that how much the current minimum rate can be actually readjusted
that would defeat the purpose. Because
what is
just
happening?
Wait a minute. That will defeat the purpose. Exactly, this is what I was saying. That government will continue to increase its expenditure. What you are saying now, the government will have to increase salaries. And if you increase salaries, then the policy will be defeated. There will be no, you will not achieve the objectives of the alignment.
The increase cannot be general.
Okay.
But it might be specific. For example, those who are getting about 300 pounds,
okay.
Those ones, they are very generous. They are very genuine case to look into their things. The other issue is the budget discipline. There must be a discipline that when a ministry is asked to spend this, they spend that and no more. So that when the budget is made, then this is the money that is going to be spent by each agency. The other factor is that when this money comes into the hand of the government, there will be more people to buy in the market. There will be more goods coming, because when the suppliers get dollars, they will bring more goods, and by itself, the market, the demand and supply for goods and services will actually balance itself. By having too much or even more supply of goods, the prices can actually come down. But if you don't have, then the goods will be very few, and therefore it affects the
Honorable Minister, do you agree with Comrade Quill by saying that you will have to at least do something for those who are on the minimum wage, and how will that influence your expenditure? And you were talking before that you will put some ceiling on government expenditure.
I would agree with him to some extent, but I don't think we would go that way immediately. I will again repeat what I said regarding the reform which the agreement is asking. And then once we have that in place, then we see how our economy is performing and our physical situation. And if it is, doing well, and we think that we should, increase the salaries of our workforce, then that will be reviewed, that will be looked at. But I can't say for sure that we will go that way soon enough.
Okay. You had at the beginning of our conversation, Honorable Minister, you did mention that you need a minimum of $300 million as a financial buffer in order to implement the policy. Have you thought of also there's a need for a commodity buffer, making sure that the commodities are available so that we don't repeat the situation of November 2013 when the central government attempted to realign the currency, to realign the pounds with the dollar at the prevailing then parallel market rate. Now, the next day, the goods disappeared in the market because people were in hoarding. What will be if suppose the central bank or the government decide today to, as of tomorrow, to go for say 15 pounds a dollar? Will commodities be in the market?
I wouldn't say that the government and the central bank will today or tomorrow. This will need time to look at it, because we need to put some factors, mitigating factors in place. As you rightly said, when it was done in November 2013, the result was not good. This is because it caught people by surprise. Information was not shared, and even if I can recall, the parliament itself was not informed about it, leave alone the public. And so,
but that's the beauty. That is the beauty of the in normal, based on my experience. Normally, that thing has to be done very discreet. So the day you're going to announce a new rate, it should always be kept confidentially. And so what you need to do is make sure that things don't disappear in the market. But the policy cannot be known ahead of time, because then there will be no purpose of making it, because exchange rate adjustment always require some secrecy. And in other countries whereby it is actually the head of the government or head of the state who will normally announce such a policy. But let me turn to you, because also you come from the party, and what will be the reaction of the population? And when you say also you will not, Honorable Minister is saying it will not be immediate, you will not compensate the losers immediately. Then, but I thought you have to compensate the losers immediately and then phase it out. What is the reaction of the population? You represent the party.
You know what happened last time was a shock. It's economic shock and psychological shock to the public and even to the business community. What to do, because they were used to the market rate, and when bank increases, they were waiting for the market rate also to jump and create its own gap, so that they can price the goods based on that. And it is important for the government and the business community to have some backup, especially for the essential commodities. Essential strategic goods has to be there, so that should other business community decide to wait, there will be goods available in the market until one thing stabilizes. Then the market can be allowed to run normally. And this is to manage economic shock as well as psychological impact on people, because when people hear it has been increased, they will be surprised. And if they don't feel that is not reflected in the market, then they will keep worrying. But if they discover that there is a compensation, there are goods that are still at affordable prices, then now they can settle and the policy can be implemented.
Do I hear you? What I'm still asking that question again. What will you explain the policy to your masses, the SPLM, because you are a ruling party, and you have to explain to the population the policy being adopted. What will you do? What steps are you going to do? Or you sit back and just see the population reacting?
I think this issue of policy need to be discussed internally with the representative of people, so that they exactly know what the government is doing and what benefit will the public gain from it. And then as soon as it is announced with the strategic goods that are kept to keep the public, then the public also need to know the main reason why this is happening. Like what we are saying, this is what we are saying, that if the exchange rate is realigned or adjusted or a manageable float, that will be actually increasing gradually, because there are many ways of doing it. It's not fixing it again and you go. It's where it is in a manageable kind of float.
You are not answering my question.
I'm answering your question.
What will you do to the population?
I'm saying that the population,
and you are in the party.
Are
you going to explain, or you will hide behind and say, look,
No. How do we hide behind? We are doing this for their benefit.
Okay, so
and we must explain to them what is the benefit they are getting.
So the SPLM Secretariat will explain to the population.
We'll explain to the population while we will show them what are the benefits. From that time, I will say now goods in the market are still available for you to buy at affordable prices. So this is why we think that there must be a preposition of goods and services that are essential for daily life of people, so that they don't feel economic shock in their daily life.
If I may add,
yes,
Dr. Lual,
yes.
Actually, you are saying that this has to be kept under wraps. It should be a secret. You are right. The date will not be revealed, but I am of the opinion that all the stakeholders, including the population, should be made aware that there is a policy, a major policy like this, which is coming. And then the benefits are told to them, the advantages. And I'm sure they will appreciate it, because in this case, where you have two rates, the population are suffering because they cannot have access to dollars. People who want to get some dollars so that they can send it to their children and so on.
We have talked about that agriculture will benefit because you'll be able to export, say, gum arabic, you export livestock, fisheries, for instance. And I understand there was in the news that even coffee is being exported from Yei to France. That is, what about the social sector? Will those of us who are having their children in East Africa, will they have to bring back their children to South Sudan and enter South Sudan schools? Because it will be expensive for them to continue to support their children in East Africa. And also the private clinics and hospitals may also benefit. Is that, you agree with that?
That is what I was saying, that when the government get resources, they will improve the social services. That is education and health. And if the education and health are improved in the country, the main reason why children are in East Africa is because of education. And that is why I was saying the government will selectively review the salaries so that we attract qualified human resource that might have not been engaged in education and health now, so that we can deliver quality education services to our people. And this will actually be cheaper for people to bring children back, because you will cut down the rent and the rest of other things that we are paying now. We should not be paying, and the rate we are paying is more than what we should do. And that money will come into the economy. It will reduce the number of people who are looking for dollars to send to their families in the East Africa. I think there will be a lot of benefit that is coming out of it, because it will reduce the import.
Okay. And Honorable Minister, you talk of the private sector, foreign direct investment. Can you explain in simple terms so that people can understand how the private sector is going to benefit from the realignment policy?
Yes, as I said before, with the realignment, the adjustment policy, the investors will gain some confidence, and they will want to come to this country to invest their money, because they are sure now that they will be able to reap some profit and be able to repatriate it if they want to. Like now we have the factory of South Sudan brewery, which is on the verge of closing down because they cannot access dollars. Yeah, in the black market it is too expensive. They have a huge amount of local currency, but they cannot get it, access it from the central bank. Now, if there is a single rate, they can access it from any commercial bank, and it will allow them to function normally. And this is, this will be good for the economy, and for what they are doing, like the jobs they have created for our people here, and so on. And there are some factories like that which are on the verge of closing down now.
Final thoughts. Normally, when you find two economists, they will not agree, but I'm surprised today two economists are agreeing on a major policy. What is your last word?
My last word to the public is that there is a need to go ahead with this policy of realignment, so that the people of South Sudan get value for their dollar. What they are getting now is not what their dollar should give them. They will get this. Number two is to encourage the foreign investors to come in, so that we create more jobs, so that young people get jobs, like what is happening in hotels now. If there are industries like the cement factory in Kajikeji, is now going to employ almost about 1,000 people directly, and indirectly will employ people who will be selling the cement. So by having this exchange rate adjusted, it will attract the investors, and there will be job opportunities that will be created, and young people will be able to do job, and we will have more purchasing power in the country and support the public. And you know, the Sudanese community, the social network, social capital, is actually very, 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 very good for us, because the relations are strong. If a member of family is working, it will actually help a number of people around him or around her. So that is also another benefit that people will get.
An advantage or disadvantage?
It's an advantage. The disadvantage is for the
People are not working.
low pay workforce in the government particularly will actually be affected for some times. It might not be a long term, but for sometimes it will take place, because if the government announces it now, it has to wait for the next financial year or even a supplementary budget for the government to look into expenditures and see how they adjust it. So there will be that temporary issue. There will be also temporary closure of some shop that may not be national enough to be able to do, because what we intend to do is to talk to our business community that you have social responsibility to make sure that you keep supplying the market with goods, so that goods don't disappear in the market. So I think by doing that, it will reduce the negative impact on the people, and in the long run, it will actually help.
Honorable Minister,
Yes.
your last word?
Yes, this policy measure actually is very important, and the sooner we do it, the better. We failed to do it because of these two factors that I mentioned before: not having a buffer, and also we have to put in place enough, not having enough reserves, and also we have to put in place some commodities in reserve before we launch this policy measure, which is very important.
Well, thank you very much to my colleagues for this very useful conversation. In summary, there was no agreement anyway to begin with, and they seem to say there would be more benefit than cost in realigning the currency, the exchange rate, and adopting move away from fixed rate to a more market-determined exchange rate, which the minister has used the word manage float, which meaning they will be following on weekly basis, maybe see and adjust the rates accordingly. But most importantly is that the emphasis on agriculture, that because South Sudan economy has a competitive advantage in agriculture, which we are not using. More than 80% of the population is in rural areas in agriculture, so agriculture will benefit. Likelihood of the social sector also benefiting, because people now will be compelled not to send their children to East Africa, but also to South Sudanese schools, private schools, or even public schools. The same thing also goes to the health sector, the clinics, the private clinics. Private hospitals will also benefit, because people will be compelled. If I have a headache, I don't rush to Nairobi. I can see a doctor here, because it will be more expensive to go. There's a likely negative effect is on those who are on fixed income. But the two colleagues have said the market has already reflected the parallel market rate in prices in terms of pounds. They have not gone up in dollars, in terms of dollar, but they have gone up in terms of the South Sudanese pounds. Those of us who are in Juba, they are aware of that particular fact. So the negative effect is it will be manageable, as they have suggested. Maybe those on 300 pounds a month, something could be done to them, but which should not also undermine the policy itself. Thank you very much for SSTV for giving us this opportunity. Thank you very much.